The human explorer Jack Carter had never felt more lost. His ship had crash-landed on an unknown alien moon, a place covered with strange glowing trees and purple rivers. His communicator was dead, his supplies low, and no help was coming. Jack wandered deeper into the forest, hoping to find shelter before nightfall. But then he heard a voice. It was soft, musical, yet sharp. "Who goes there?" Jack froze. From behind a large glowing tree, someone stepped forward, someone unlike any creature he had ever seen. It was an alien woman, tall and elegant, her skin shimmering like silver under the moonlight. But there was one problem: she was completely naked. She stared at him with wide, shining eyes, her body covered only by her long flowing hair. Jack quickly turned around, his face burning red. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to," the alien woman gasped. "You saw me naked." Jack raised his hands. "I wasn't trying to, I swear." But before he could explain, the alien woman shouted a word in her language, and suddenly, her body glowed with bright blue light. In a flash, she was fully dressed in some sort of living fabric that grew from her skin. She approached, glaring. "Human, do you realize what you have done?" Jack shook his head. "I don't even know where I am." She narrowed her eyes. "You have seen me in my natural form. In my culture, that means you must marry me." Jack's mouth dropped open. "What?" The woman crossed her arms. "It is our sacred law. If an outsider sees one of us unclothed, it binds our fates together. If we do not bond through marriage, both of us will die when the next moon rises." Jack blinked. "Wait, hold on. You're telling me I'll die because I saw you without clothes?" She nodded. "Our bodies share energy when exposed. Without the marriage bond, the connection becomes poison to both." Jack staggered back. "But I just got here. I didn't even know you were here." The alien woman sighed, looking less angry now, but still serious. "Intent does not matter. The bond has started." She stepped closer, studying him. "You are human. I have heard of your kind from distant stars. Weak, but clever." Jack frowned. "Hey, I'm not weak." She raised an eyebrow. "Then prove it." "My name is Valara, daughter of the lunar clans. If you wish to survive, you must complete the bonding ritual before the next moonrise." Jack swallowed hard. "And what exactly is this ritual?" Valara tilted her head. "You must prove you can protect me, provide for me, and understand my heart. Only then will the bond be complete. Fail, and we both die." Jack stared at the sky where the moon was already beginning to rise. He had less than a day to figure this out. "Great," he muttered. "I'm stuck on a weird moon. I just met an alien woman, and now I have to marry her or we both die." Valara smiled faintly. "You say that like it is a burden. Perhaps you'll enjoy it." Jack shook his head. "I didn't even get dinner first." Valara's eyes glowed softly. "Come, human. The first part of the ritual begins now. You must hunt the beast of the forest and bring me its core stone." Jack stared. "Beast, core stone? What are you talking about?" She pointed to the deeper forest. "There's a creature called the Gralak. It is deadly, covered in armor, and hunts everything that breathes. Its core stone holds life energy. Bring it to me, and the first trial is complete." Jack laughed nervously. "You want me to fight an armored alien monster? With what? My bare hands?" Valara handed him a small glowing dagger. "This blade is sharp enough to pierce its hide, but only if you are clever and brave." Jack sighed. "Taking the dagger, okay. Hunt the monster, get the stone, don't die, simple." Valara smiled again. "You're amusing, human. Perhaps you are not as weak as I thought." Jack looked toward the dark forest. "Guess I better get started. No pressure, just my life and yours on the line." As he disappeared into the trees, Valara watched quietly. "Strange human," she whispered. "I hope you survive, because if you don't, I will die with you." Above them, the sky grew darker, and the first moon slowly began to rise. Time was running out. Jack stepped cautiously into the alien forest, the small glowing dagger firm in his hand. The trees were taller here, their trunks pulsing faintly with light, as if the entire forest was alive and watching him. Every sound made him flinch: the rustling of leaves, distant growls, the crack of branches underfoot. He tried to stay calm, But his mind kept repeating Valara's words, "Bring me the core stone or we both die." He shook his head, muttering to himself, "First I crash here, then I get roped into a death marriage, and now I have to kill an armored monster. Just perfect." Hours passed as he navigated the glowing maze, until finally, a deep, guttural roar echoed through the trees. Jack froze. The sound was close. Slowly, he crouched behind a wide tree and peeked through the branches. There it was, the Growlithe. The creature was massive, like a monstrous fusion of a bear and a crab, its body covered in thick metallic plates. 6 legs, sharp as spears, carried it effortlessly across the ground. Its eyes glowed a dark red, and when it roared again, steam burst from vents along its back. Jack's heart pounded. He knew his tiny dagger wouldn't do much against that armor. He had to think smarter. He remembered Valara's words, "Only if you are clever and brave." He scanned the area and noticed something. The Growlithe moved slowly when it roared, exposing its softer underbelly. Each time, that was his chance, but one wrong move and it would tear him apart. Jack grabbed a thick branch and threw it far to his left. The sound distracted the beast, making it turn away. Jack sprinted silently to a closer tree, hiding in its shadows. He waited for the next roar. When the Growlithe bellowed again, its chest plates opened slightly, revealing the softer tissue beneath. Without hesitation, Jack leapt forward, driving the glowing dagger into the exposed flesh. The Growlithe shrieked, its legs thrashing wildly. Jack held on tightly, stabbing again and again. But the beast wasn't going down easily. It slammed against trees, trying to shake him off. Jack felt himself getting weaker, his grip slipping. In one desperate move, he slid under the beast and stabbed upwards, deep into its core. A loud, horrible screech echoed through the forest, and then the Growlithe collapsed, dead. Breathing hard, Jack pulled himself free and saw at the core stone, a glowing blue crystal embedded inside the creature's chest. He ripped it out, its energy pulsing in his hand. The mission was done, but his body ached all over. He stumbled back toward the camp, clutching the stone. When he finally returned, Valara was waiting, her silver eyes wide with surprise. "You did it," she whispered, helping him stand. Jack held up the stone weakly. "Yeah, I stabbed it. A lot." Valara smiled, her expression softer now. "You've completed the first trial. The bond between us strengthens, but the next test will be harder." Jack groaned. "Of course it will be." As the twin moons of the planet rose higher, Valara looked up, her face serious. "The second trial begins with the next sunrise. Rest now, human. You'll need it." Jack collapsed onto a soft bed of moss, the core stone glowing faintly beside him as sleep pulled him under. He wondered what kind of trial awaited him next and whether he was really capable of surviving this strange marriage ritual. Deep in the forest, other creatures stirred, sensing the death of the Growlithe. Something darker was coming, something that would test Jack's courage and his growing connection with Valara far more than he imagined. When Jack woke, the twin suns of the alien moon were just beginning to rise. The forest around him glowed with a soft, eerie light, and the air was cool against his skin. Valara was already awake, sitting beside a small fire made from glowing stones. She watched him silently, her silver eyes reflecting the flames. Jack sat up slowly, his muscles sore from fighting the Growlithe, but his mind sharp. He remembered her words from last night, "The next trial begins at sunrise." He cleared his throat. So what now, more monsters? Or is this one some kind of riddle? Valara turned to him, her expression serious. "The second trial is called the trial of the heart. It is not fought with weapons. It is a test of understanding, connection, and trust." Jack frowned. "Okay, what does that mean exactly?" Valara stood, her long hair catching the morning light. "You must enter the pool of echoes. It is a sacred place where your mind and soul will be exposed. Your deepest fears, your true feelings, they will come to life. If you can't face them, the pool will consume you." Jack's face twisted. "Great. So I fight my own nightmares now." Valara smiled faintly. "Not just nightmares. The pool will show you the truth about us and about yourself." They traveled together through the forest, the trees whispering in strange languages as they passed. After an hour of walking, They reached a clearing where a wide, still pool of water shimmered under the suns. The surface was like a mirror, reflecting not just the sky but something deeper, something alive. Valara stopped at the edge. Once you enter, you cannot leave until the trial ends. If you fail, you will be trapped in the reflections forever. Jack swallowed hard. That's comforting. She touched his shoulder gently. I'll be here when you return, if you return. Jack looked at her, and for the first time, he noticed a softness in her eyes. She was worried for him. That gave him strength. Without another word, he stepped into the pool. The moment his feet touched the water, everything shifted. The world dissolved around him, and Jack stood in a strange empty space, surrounded by endless reflections of himself. But they weren't just mirrors, they moved on their own. Their eyes filled with doubt, anger, and fear. One of them stepped forward and sneered. You're a joke, Jack, a loser from Earth. You're not a hero, you don't belong here. Another reflection appeared. This one dressed in his old Earth uniform. You failed your squad. Remember that? You think you can save an alien you barely know. Jack's heart pounded. These voices were parts of himself, his regrets, his failures. They circled him, whispering every mistake he'd made. He tried to shout back, but his voice was weak. Then another figure stepped from the reflections, Valara. But her eyes were cold. Why would I ever want to bond with a weak, pitiful human like you? Jack felt like sinking, his confidence draining. But then, deep inside, he remembered the real Valara, the one who smiled softly when he succeeded, who watched over him when he slept, who believed in his survival. He clenched his fists. You're not real, he said, glaring at the fake Valara. She believes in me, and I'm not giving up. I've made mistakes, yeah, but I'm still here. I'll fight for her, even if it kills me. A bright light burst from his chest, pushing the reflections back. The real memories, the real feelings filled him with strength. The fake Valara vanished, the dark reflections shattering into glass. The pool rippled, and Jack felt himself being pulled back. When his eyes opened, he was back in the clearing, soaked but breathing hard. Valara rushed to him. You returned, she whispered. Jack smiled weakly. Told you I would. She helped him stand, her hand lingering on his. You passed the trial of the heart. That means the bond between us is growing. The third trial is the last, but it is the most dangerous of all. Jack chuckled dryly. Of course it is. Let me guess, giant death bird, lava pit, a duel to the death. Valara shook her head. No. The third trial is the trial of sacrifice, and when it comes, you'll have to choose between your life and mine. Jack's smile faded. Wait, what? But Valara didn't answer. She simply looked up at the sky, where the moons were beginning to align. The final trial was coming, and it would demand more than strength or courage. It would demand Jack's very soul. The sky above the alien moon darkened as the two moons moved into perfect alignment. The air turned cold, and even the glowing trees seemed to dim their light, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Jack stood beside Valara, staring up at the shifting sky, unsure of what was about to come. Her words echoed in his mind. You'll have to choose between your life and mine. He didn't understand how that could be the final trial, but he had no time to ask. Suddenly, the ground beneath them trembled. Cracks formed around the clearing where they stood, and a deep, guttural voice echoed from below the earth. Jack's body tensed, gripping the dagger Valara had given him. Though he knew this fight would not be like the one with the Gralek. The voice was neither male nor female, it was ancient, heavy with power. The trial of sacrifice begins. 1. Life must end for the bond to complete. Only the pure of heart can choose. The ground split open, and a blinding column of light shot up from the depths. Valara's eyes widened, and before Jack could react, the light surrounded her, lifting her into the air. She screamed in pain, her body glowing as if being pulled apart. Jack stepped forward, panicking. Let her go, he shouted into the light. But the voice answered coldly. You must decide, human. Take her place and suffer her fate, or let her perish and walk away free. Jack stared in horror. This was the trial. He had to choose: let Valara die, ensuring his own survival, or take her place and risk losing his life. His heart pounded in his chest. Every instinct screamed at him to save himself. to find a way out. But deep inside, he knew the truth. Valara had guided him, trusted him. Even when she could have abandoned him, she didn't deserve to die because of some ancient law. Without another thought, Jack ran forward and threw himself into the light. Pain erupted through his body, like fire burning every nerve. He heard Valara scream his name, but he gritted his teeth, pushing forward until he reached her. He grabbed her hand and pulled her toward him. "You're not dying for me," he shouted. "If someone has to go, it'll be me." The light grew hotter, brighter, but Jack held on. His body felt like it was being torn apart molecule by molecule. He felt his strength fading, his mind slipping away, yet he refused to let go of Valara's hand. Then, as suddenly as it began, the light vanished. Jack collapsed to the ground, coughing, barely conscious. Valara landed beside him, unharmed, her silver eyes wide with shock and disbelief. She held him close, her hands trembling. "Why? Why would you do that?" she whispered. "You could have lived." Jack smiled weakly. "Because I couldn't live with myself if I let you die. You didn't ask for any of this. I did what was right." The ancient voice echoed one last time, but now it was gentle, almost pleased. "The choice is made. The bond is sealed. The human has passed the trial of sacrifice." A faint glow wrapped around both Jack and Valara, connecting them with a visible thread of energy. Valara's eyes filled with tears, not of sorrow, but of relief and gratitude. She touched his face gently. "You were willing to die for me. I never expected that from a human." Jack chuckled softly, his voice hoarse. "Guess we're full of surprises." She smiled through her tears. "Our bond is complete. We are connected now, our lives, our fates, intertwined. Neither of us will die from the exposure anymore." Jack tried to sit up, still weak. "That's good, because I was starting to like living." Valara helped him stand, her grip firm yet kind. "You've proven yourself not just to me, but to my people. No one expected a human to survive the trials, let alone pass them all." Jack looked at her with a playful grin. "Does that mean we're married now?" She laughed softly. "Yes, by our law, you are my bondmate now." He raised an eyebrow. "Do I get a ring or something?" Valara chuckled. "No rings, but a lifetime of partnership." As they stood together, the skies cleared, the moons separating, and the land seemed brighter, safer. But deep in the forest, in the shadows, something else stirred. The completion of the bond had sent a signal across the stars. Something ancient and dangerous had awakened. Valara felt it too. She looked toward the dark horizon. "Our story isn't over, Jack. Something else is coming. Something worse." Jack sighed. "Of course it is. Can't even enjoy being married in peace." Valara smiled, her hands still in his. "But this time, we'll face it together." And with that, they walked back toward the forest, ready for whatever the future held. Two souls from different worlds, forever bound by fate and by choice. The skies above the alien moon returned to peace. But the bond between Jack and Valara did more than just save their lives. It sent a ripple of energy across the stars, somewhere far from Cathara. In a cold and hollow part of the universe, something ancient stirred. Eyes that hadn't opened in thousands of years blinked awake. It was called the Varan, a being of shadow and hunger, a predator of bonds and life forces. The Varan felt the pulse of the completed ritual and smiled in the darkness. "Another bond has formed, and I am hungry." Meanwhile, back on the moon, Jack and Valara made their way back to her village. As they walked, Valara kept glancing at Jack, her silver eyes glowing faintly. She seemed deep in thought, as if calculating the meaning of what had happened between them. Jack noticed her looks and finally chuckled. "Okay, why do you keep staring at me like I've grown another head?" Valara shook her head, smiling lightly. "Because I don't understand you. You barely knew me. Yet you chose death over letting me die. Humans, your kind is unpredictable." Jack smirked. "Yeah, unpredictability is kind of our thing. But I wasn't going to just walk away. That's not who I am." Valara's gaze softened. "No, it's not, and I'm grateful." When they arrived at the village, the Varnik elders were waiting. Their faces were serious as they studied Jack. One elder stepped forward, his long robes flowing like water. "The bond has completed, and yet something else has awakened." We felt it the moment the final trial ended. Jack's stomach sank. What do you mean? I thought the trials were it. The elder shook his head gravely. Normally, yes. But your bond is different. No human has ever bonded with one of us. Your energy is foreign, and it called out into the void. Something heard you. Valara's face darkened. The Varan. Jack frowned. What's the Varan? The elder's eyes were heavy with dread. A devourer. A hunter of bonds. It seeks out those who form connections of power and consumes them, leaving nothing but emptiness. It was sealed long ago, but your bond, it woke it up. Jack felt a chill crawl down his spine. So you're saying this thing is coming for us? Yes, the elder confirmed. And if it reaches this world, it won't just kill you both it. We'll feast on the life of this entire moon. Valara clenched her fists. Then we have to stop it before it gets here. The elder nodded slowly. There's a way. If you just strengthen your bond further, you may gain the power to fight it. But it requires complete unity of heart and mind. Jack raised an eyebrow. Meaning? Valara stepped closer to Jack, her eyes serious. It means we must fully accept each other. Our fears, our hopes, our connection must be deeper than the trials alone. We must trust each other completely, or the Varan will tear us apart. Jack swallowed. Sounds like the scariest kind of marriage counseling. Valara chuckled despite the seriousness. In a way, yes, but necessary. For days, they trained together fighting, meditating, learning each other's thoughts, emotions, and instincts. Every success brought them closer. Sometimes they fought, other times they laughed. But slowly, a genuine bond of trust and affection grew between them. On the fourth night, as they rested by the glowing river, Jack looked up at the stars. Do you think we'll make it? I mean, beating some ancient space monster isn't exactly what I trained for. Valara sat beside him. We will, because you're not alone, and neither am I. Jack turned to her, seeing her not just as an alien, but as a partner, someone who had risked just as much as he had. Without thinking, he took her hand. She didn't pull away. Suddenly, the ground trembled. The sky above twisted. Dark clouds forming where there were none before. The temperature dropped sharply. From the heavens, a rift of shadow tore open, and from it descended a figure like smoke wrapped in a black cloak. The Varan. Its voice was like ice scraping on stone. I smell your bond. I will feast well tonight. Jack and Valara stood together, their hands still linked. The energy of their connection glowed faintly between them. Valara whispered, "It's here. Are you ready?" Jack grinned, despite his fear. No, but let's kick its ass anyway. As the Varan descended, hungry and vast, Jack and Valara prepared for the fight of their lives, not just to survive, but to protect the love and bond they had built against the darkness that wanted to consume it. The Varan descended like a storm of living shadow, its body shifting between smoke, claws, and eyes that burned like cold fire. The sky twisted around it, dark clouds swirling, as if the very world was afraid. Jack stood beside Valara, their hands still clasped, the energy of their bond glowing between them in a faint blue light. Yet Jack could feel the fear tightening in his chest. The Varan wasn't just an enemy, it was the end of everything connected. Its presence drained warmth from the air, and Jack felt his strength waver just by standing near it. The Varan's voice cut through the heavy air, a chilling whisper that echoed inside their minds. You dare stand before me, bonded ones. Your connection is delicious, but fleeting. You will not survive. Valara stepped forward, her eyes fierce. You won't take us. This bond is stronger than your hunger. She turned to Jack, squeezing his hand. Focus on me. Let our thoughts align. Only together can we fight it. Jack nodded, pushing past his fear. He focused on Valara's touch, her warmth, her presence. The glow between them grew brighter, and suddenly, he felt it there. Thoughts merging slightly, like overlapping waves. He could feel her determination, her trust in him, and beneath it, her fear of losing him. Their connection lit up, creating a circle of light around them. The Varan hissed, pulling back slightly. Interesting, but still not enough. Without warning, the Varan lashed forward, shadowy tendrils striking like whips. Jack and Valara moved together, dodging with a synchronicity that felt almost natural. Jack raised his hand, and to his surprise, a shield of blue energy formed. Pulsing with the power of their bond, the tendrils struck the shield, sending shockwaves of force through his arm, but the shield held. Valara summoned a lance of light, shaped by their combined will, and hurled it at the Varan. The shadow beast shrieked as the light pierced its form, causing parts of its body to vaporize into mist. Yet the Varan quickly reformed, laughing darkly. "You sting, little ones, but I am eternal. Your bond will fray, and when it does, I will devour you both." Jack's legs shook, but he stood firm. "You'll have to try harder than that." The Varan lunged, its entire mass crashing toward them like a tidal wave of night. Jack and Valara combined their powers, forming a dome of light that shielded them as the darkness swept over. Inside the dome, Jack felt Valara's strength faltering. Her breathing became heavy, her eyes dimming. "Valara, stay with me," Jack shouted, holding her close. She shook her head weakly. "It's draining me. The bond, it's strong, but not enough. We're not fully connected yet." Jack remembered the Elder's words, complete unity of heart and mind. He realized what was missing. It wasn't just trust, it was acceptance, complete vulnerability. He looked into her eyes, speaking honestly. "Valara, I'm scared. I don't know if I'm enough for this, but I won't let you face it alone. You're not just some alien I'm bonded to. You're important to me, more than I expected." Tears shimmered in Valara's eyes. "And you're more than a human to me, Jack. I didn't want this bond at first, but now, I can't imagine surviving without you." Their hearts connected, not just through the ritual, but through truth. The light between them flared, so bright that the dome exploded outward, sending the Varan staggering back, parts of its shadow burning away. Suddenly, Jack and Valara were lifted into the air by their bond's energy, their bodies glowing as one. Jack felt power surge through him, not just from the armor-like energy wrapping his limbs, but from the love and connection he shared with Valara. They moved as one, minds linked completely. The Varan roared, "No, I will not be denied." It struck again, forming massive claws of shadow, but Jack and Valara danced between them. Faster than thought, their combined energy slicing through the darkness. Each strike from them carved away the Varan's form, weakening it further. Jack felt the Varan's voice in his head, weaker now. "You can't destroy me completely. I will always return." But Valara's voice cut through. "Maybe, but you won't return today." Together, they gathered all their energy, forming a spear of pure light, shaped by love, trust, and unity. They hurled it into the Varan's core, piercing its heart of darkness. The shadow screamed, a sound that made the sky itself tremble, and then it shattered into a storm of fading mist, vanishing into the void. Silence followed. The skies cleared, the warmth returned, and the forest's glow brightened once more. Jack and Valara floated gently back to the ground, their bonds still glowing, faintly but peaceful. Valara looked at him, breathless but smiling. "We did it. We stopped it." Jack smiled back, still catching his breath. "Yeah, together." Their connection remained not just a bond of survival, but of choice, trust, and something deeper. Love. Yet far beyond the stars, unseen eyes watched them still, and a whisper drifted through space. A bond like theirs could reshape the galaxy. Their journey was far from over, but for now, Jack and Valara had each other. And for the first time, Jack felt like this alien moon wasn't just a place he crashed, it was home. When the sky finally cleared, and the last of the Varan's shadow vanished into nothingness, the alien moon of Cathara seemed to breathe again. The glowing trees stood tall and bright, the rivers of soft blue light flowing peacefully. The air was warmer, and the world itself felt alive with gratitude. Jack and Valara stood side by side in the middle of the clearing, still breathing heavily from the fight. Their hands remained linked, their bond now glowing as a soft pulse between them, like a heartbeat shared between two souls. Jack looked at Valara, his heart still racing. "We actually did it. We survived." His voice was full of disbelief, yet also pride. Valara smiled softly, her silver eyes shimmering with warmth. "No, Jack, we didn't just survive. We beat it together. That's something few can claim against the Varan." She squeezed his hand gently. "I'm proud of you, of us." Jack chuckled, still catching his breath. "Yeah, Us, I didn't. Think my week would end with fighting a shadow demon and getting space married. But I'll take it. Valara laughed, the sound light and pure, something Jack realized he'd never heard from her before. It was beautiful. You're strange, human, but you've changed everything. She turned her gaze back toward the sky, but we've also drawn attention. The Varn was not just a shadow, it was a signal. The galaxy will know about us. Now, Jack raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? Valara's expression grew serious. The bond we share, it's not just a ritual anymore. It's power, and power echoes somewhere. Others will feel it. Some will seek it to destroy us, others might want to use us. Jack's smile faded. So you're saying this isn't over? She nodded. No, the Varn was just the first to hear the call. There will be more, but we'll face them, together. As they walked back toward Valara's village, the land seemed to welcome them. Animals that once hid in fear now peeked from the glowing brush. The winds carried songs that whispered of survival and strength. When they reached the village, the Varnic elders and villagers were already gathered, having sensed the Varn's destruction. Their eyes widened when they saw Jack and Valara return, alive and victorious. The eldest stepped forward, his staff glowing faintly. You have done what we thought impossible. The Varn is gone. Our world is safe for now. He turned to Jack, his gaze full of respect. You human have proven worthy not only of our bond rituals, but of our trust. You are Varnic in spirit now. Jack smiled awkwardly. Does that come with a badge or something? The elder chuckled, surprising everyone. No badge, but honor. Valara stood proudly beside Jack. The bond between us is complete. The trials are over, but our journey is just beginning. We'll protect this moon. And if the galaxy comes, we'll be ready. The villagers cheered softly, their songs lifting into the air, a melody of hope and unity. For the first time, Jack felt like he belonged not just to a place, but to a people, to Valara. Later that night, as the moon shone brightly in the sky, Jack and Valara sat together on a high ridge overlooking the glowing forests. She rested, her head on his shoulder, their hands still intertwined. Do you regret any of it? She asked softly. Jack shook his head. Not a bit. I came here by accident, but I stayed because of you. He glanced at her, smiling. Even if it means fighting shadow monsters, space cults, or whatever else is out there. Valara chuckled. You may get your wish sooner than you think. Jack looked up at the sky, where distant stars twinkled like watchful eyes. Somewhere, far away, he could feel it too, like a distant drumbeat in his bones. Others were coming. But for now, they had peace, a human and an alien, to lives forever bound not just by a ritual, but by choice, sacrifice, and a connection that even the stars couldn't ignore. As they sat together under the twin moons, Jack whispered, whatever comes next, we'll face it together. Valara smiled, her voice a soft promise in the night. Together, always.